Why you should report suspicious activity. My husband and I purchased our home in July of 2015. It was a pre-sale, and from the contract portion to having the keys in our hands, it was about 5 or 6 months. We were dropping by a couple of times a week to check on the progress of the house. We met a few of the neighbours and familiarised ourselves with the area. Our house is the corner lot on private road at the very end of the neighbourhood. The entire neighbourhood is a dead end, one way in, one way out. Prior to our house being here, it was a vacant lot, which means that people parked here. As we live in the city and parking is regulated, it's dead quiet back here and nothing ever happens. I'm the type of person who's very observant. My husband likes to say I'm the 80-year-old get off my lawn type at the ripe old age of 28. I've never been good with names though. Like I said, parking is regulated. So people parking on the side of the house which parallels main road isn't uncommon. It's all 2-hour parking. At the time, my husband was working 12-hour shifts and was carpooling, so he was being picked up around 4 in the morning. He had just left and I'd heard a vehicle pull up shortly after and thought maybe he had forgotten something. I peeked out the window and I see a truck parked alongside of our house, facing the wrong direction. This wasn't his ride and I hadn't ever seen this truck out here before. I figured maybe they were waiting to pick someone up for the work and left it at that. Over the next 45 minutes to an hour, they continued to sit there. Engine off, engine on, engine off, engine on. Headlights off, headlights on. The truck was not in park as I could see that their third brake light was on. It had also come on and gone off several times. If you're waiting for someone, why leave your engine on for an hour? Why drive back and forth? At this point, I was a little freaked out. It was approaching the time that I needed to leave for work, and I would have to drive right past this truck in order to leave the neighbourhood. I didn't know what this person was doing, and I was afraid that maybe they were casing the houses in the neighbourhood, ours specifically. I texted my husband and he told me that it was weird, and if I was worried that I should just call 911. I didn't want to be dramatic, so I got ready and left. I left the living room light and TV on just in case. We have blinds all over our windows and there's no way to see in. As I leave, I see that the truck is no longer there, and I'm relieved. As I'm almost at the end of the neighbourhood, I see the truck in another driveway. Now I'm scared. What the fuck is this guy doing? As I drive past the truck, it turns around and heads back to our house. I thought, okay, if I'm going to call, I at least need the license plate number. So I turn around and get what I thought was the make of the truck and the license plate number and peel out. I was so scared that I was physically shaking and I stalled my car. As soon as I got to the main road, I called 911 to report suspicious activity, gave the description and said that I'd like to be contacted afterward about the outcome. The police station is 2 streets down, so I knew it would be quick. About 15 minutes later, as I'm pulling into work, I get a phone call from a police officer. He asks if I know a Mary. Nothing comes to mind. I'm bad with names to begin with, but I don't know a Mary. He asks me if I'm familiar with the yellow house across the street. I say yes. He tells me that it's Mary's house, and the man in the truck is Mary's ex-boyfriend, and they've been broken up for 3 years. I believe I said, I'm sorry, but what the fuck is he doing there then? He was watching the house. He'd been stalking her. She was not home at the time. The officer told him that his behaviour was creepy and not to ever show up again. The officer filed a report, patrolled the neighbourhood for a few weeks. Even though I didn't know Mary and we'd only exchanged waves in passing, it was creepy as hell and she needed to know. I've never seen anyone so freaked out. Apparently it was not a mutual breakup. He had been obsessive and had some dependency issues. She had blocked all communication and this was the last straw in order for her to get a restraining order. For whatever reason, she wasn't granted one earlier. Because our house or street is newer, it doesn't always show on maps or GPS, so we have to give people turn-by-turn directions. When I mapped out our house recently, sure enough, that truck is parked in front of Mary's house. So Mary's stalker, let's not ever meet again. Don't let me catch you in my neighbourhood.